Girls Frontline 2 has the best slice-of-life story in any gacha game I've played so far. While other gacha games treat slice of life like a filler story or a complete waste of time, Girls Frontline 2 turns it into a story that makes you love these characters even more. And that's because they fully understand what makes slice of life special and how to use it properly in a gacha game. But let's start with the basics. What is a slice of life story? A traditional story focuses on the plot, about building stakes, tension, and payoff. For the writers, the hardest part is usually about balancing plot structure and character development at the same time. But Slice of Life just sidesteps around that problem by throwing away the plot completely. No big story beats, no major stakes, just character interactions. Naturally, the biggest difference between them is about change. In a traditional story, the world and the characters change by the end of the story. But in Slice of Life, nothing actually changes. The world stays the same, the character stays the same, but you, as a reader, will change because you've seen new sides of the character you wouldn't see anywhere else. Neither style is better by default. Both have their own place in a gacha game setting. The real problem is when Slice of Life becomes an excuse for bad writing. Look at HoYoverse's character quest, for instance. So many times they promise us a story about our favorite character, and then bait and switch us into helping a random NPC for an hour instead. And somehow, that NPC becomes the main character, while our playable character becomes the side character. These NPC stories are technically a slice-of-life story, but you learn nothing new about the playable character except that they're a nice person who will help any random person on the street. And ironically, this led some players to believe that this is just how a slice of story works, or that it's just an Eastern style of writing. That is such an insult to the slice of life format. This might be a surprise to them, but even slice of life story has standards for quality. There is a big difference between a good and a bad slice of life story. The whole point of slice of life is to show different sides of the characters you wouldn't see in the main story. It's supposed to deepen your connection with them in an intimate setting. If you finish a slice of life story and learn nothing new about the characters, then that is just a bad story, an empty filler, a complete waste of time. So, with all of that being said, how does Mimisbrunnr's Loop Part 1 in Girls Frontline 2 get this right? Because on paper, it's just a vacation filler arc. The dolls go on holiday, play a paintball tournament, and fight over the commander's affection. This is just a textbook slice of life story. The plot doesn't matter, who wins doesn't matter, there is no character arc, and nothing changes by the end of the story. It might seem like a complete waste of time, just like any other HoYoverse character story, until you realize that this entire event is a giant character study. It shows you who these dolls truly are in a low-stake environment. Take Sabrina, for example. From the promotional videos and her animations, you'd probably think she is just a fat doll who likes to eat and nothing else. Without this event, you wouldn't know that she's actually pretty smart. She works well with a teammate, can plan a winning strategy, and she's an expert mechanic who can fix pretty much anything. The same goes for Lynn. You wouldn't know that she is a grumpy rule breaker. Or Perry, who is still the same timid doll who doesn't fully trust her own skills. And for the existing character, the writers keep giving us more information about them, more character flaws and layers to the character to set up a future story. Now we know that the commander still feels guilty about abandoning her dolls, to the point that a simple paintball match caused her to have a nightmare about being hunted and shot down by her own dolls. And breaking the agreement still made her feel equally guilty because she felt like she was robbing the dolls out of their dreams and their stable life. Of course, we know that's a very flawed way of thinking because it was the dolls who decided to return to her side, no matter the risk. Even after Springfield explained this to her twice, she hasn't fully understood this fact. Groza also has some interesting moments. While everyone else decided to team up and have fun with the event, Groza took it personally. She was so ruthless because to her, this is not just a fun event. If you played through previous event and read through her dorm story, you would know that Groza fears that she will be abandoned by the commander now that she has so many dolls by her side. This tournament is a chance for her to prove that she is still worthy as her most trusted doll. This event also gives us a chance to see how different characters interact with each other. Different dolls have their own strategy that matches their character. Some decided to team up, others went solo. Some decided to hide, and someone decided to cheat. Like how slimy Sharkri can be when she's using her charm to her advantage, and how Groza can call that out immediately. One of the key highlights is Andores. She may be frozen stiff in combat, but she managed to make Mekti want to fight on her own will instead of sleeping. That's something Klukai still couldn't do in the 10 years between Girls Frontline 1 and 2. But by far, my favorite part is the weird pairings. Macchiato and Mekti were not that surprising. Of course, Macchiato will be annoyed by Mekti's laziness. But Macchiato and Andores, now that's interesting. And it's more surprising that Andores can even out the skill gap by poking at Macchiato's weakness about the commander, turning the match into a draw. That's the real showcase of Andores' ability, and curiously, something I rarely see in gacha game stories. I always wonder why gacha games don't do this more often. Just pair up random characters and see what kind of story come out. That is a classic sitcom strategy. With only 10 well-written characters, you could make an endless number of tiny stories just by pairing them up in a slice-of-life format. Because that's what this is all about. Slice-of-life format gives the writers a chance to show different sides of the characters you'd never see in the main story. It's like putting a microscope over small everyday moments so you understand what makes these characters unique. It's not enough to just have characters doing random stuff or helping a random NPC. It has to be a real character exploration like what we have in Mimisbrunnr's loop. More importantly, Girls Frontline 2 didn't waste a low-stake event as just a filler. They cram in as many character interactions to the point that there is no wasted scene in the story at all. And that is the key difference between a good and a bad slice-of-life story. A story worth reading, not a wasted time. And I really wish more gacha games would adopt this approach so that at least we can have more meaningful stories in our gacha games. But that's just me. What do you think? Do you enjoy slice-of-life stories in gacha games? Have you ever felt like some of the stories in gacha games could have been written better? Please do let me know in the comment section down below. I always reply to everyone, and I'd love to know what is the best slice-of-life story you've ever read so far, because I'd like to read them too. If you want to continue watching, I recommend my previous essay on why Nikkei crossover with Stellar Blade didn't work. It's a very underrated video right now, so I appreciate it if you could help boost it in the algorithm. Leave a like and subscribe if you want more deep dive into gacha game storytelling. And with that, I think I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.